This is a stimulus update and daily news report, and finally, they got it done. The Senate has finished the bill text for the part one of the physical infrastructure. It came out to 2,700 pages, and now the next step moving forward is to have the big vote and pass it in the Senate. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We can't have a part one infrastructure without the part two human infrastructure, which has all of those stimulus provisions in it. And according to AOC, she says that there's enough votes to prevent the part one from going through unless there is the part two human reconciliation bill, which is going to be presented as well, which at this time is not currently present. So I'm going to fill you in with all those details with a few video clips from Chuck Schumer, AOC, as well as Bernie Sanders talking the latest about infrastructure and stimulus provisions moving forward. Then we'll talk about a fourth stimulus check and how it may be more possible, especially with the potential of lockdowns happening. Then I'll answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. Hope you're having a more than mundane Monday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. And it looks like mask mandates are back, even for the vaccinated. So the CDC recommended that everybody indoors wear masks again, even if you're vaccinated. So let me know your thoughts on this. If you're vaccinated or not, are you going to continue wearing masks? I feel like we were almost there, almost in the clear, but now we took a few steps backwards. Let me know your thoughts on masks down in the comments below. Next, let's talk about the infrastructure that just finished. So Chuck Schumer announces bipartisan group has finalized legislative text on infrastructure bill, which I guess is something to celebrate, but honestly, this should have been done weeks and months ago. But Senate finishes text on the bipartisan infrastructure bill after a rare weekend session. Also, it shouldn't be a rare weekend session. They were supposed to finish this a while ago. They should have been working every single weekend, not rare. Should have been a normal thing. Anyway, that's my opinion. So the US Senate on Sunday finalized the text of the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. The legislation will next be introduced to the Senate. The text for the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, a top legislative priority for the President Joe Biden, was more than 2,700 pages. The bill includes $550 billion in new spending over 5 years to build roads and electric vehicle charging stations, as well as replace lead water pipes. So that's the physical infrastructure, the part one. And here is Chuck Schumer making that announcement of what's going on.
Majority Leader.
Well, I thank my colleagues for their fine speeches and very much appreciate them. Now, the bipartisan group of senators has finished writing the text of the infrastructure bill. And in a moment, I'll take the procedural steps to make their legislative language the base of the bill here on the floor. I want to congratulate the members of the bipartisan group.
So after a few procedural votes, we finally have the bill text in place, which means the next step is to have the vote, and we could finally get to the part two where it has all those stimulus provisions. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. So AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, says that there's more than enough votes to prevent infrastructure from passing without the reconciliation bill. So the reconciliation bill is that $3.5 trillion bill, which is Democrat only, which has a lot of those stimulus provisions in it. Basically, the Democrats are saying that there's not going to be any bipartisan infrastructure passing unless there is a human infrastructure. Here is AOC talking more about that.
If there is not a reconciliation bill in the House, and if the Senate does not pass the reconciliation bill, we will uphold our end of the bargain and not pass the bipartisan bill until we get all of these investments in. And I want to be clear that the investments in the bipartisan bill are not all, candy land. There are some of these quote unquote pay-fors that are very alarming that we need to see the language on. For example, some of the language around privatizing public infrastructure, putting toll roads, leasing public infrastructure to private entities are very concerning and should be concerning to every American. So we really need to see that language and see what's put in there until it reaches, when it reaches the House. Bipartisan doesn't always mean that it's in the interest of the public good, frankly. Sometimes there's a lot of corporate lobbyist giveaways in some of these bills.
AOC mentioning that there is some shady money in that bipartisan infrastructure package, and I couldn't agree more. In every single stimulus package that came out, there was pork, fluff, whatever you want to call it, but shady money that did not belong there, that isn't going to help out the American people, but more line the pockets of Congress members. And every Congress member is in it. Democrats, Republicans, even if if they say that there's shady money in it, they could be getting a piece of that as well for their campaign in the future. But that's just my cynical thinking. Let's talk about the timeline moving forward with this. So AOC was talking about how it needs to pass. The House is officially on vacation. So the purple or blue is when the House is in session. They are officially on a 6-week vacation, not coming back until September 20th. And the Senate is supposed to be on vacation. The last day is the 6th, which means they only have 4 more days left to have this voted on in the Senate, and then emergency call the House to come back in session and then have a vote on it there. So I don't know how this is going to happen, but it looks like we only have 4 days left before they could have a big vote. Here is Bernie Sanders talking more about infrastructure and what needs to happen.
Senator Sanders, were you surprised by Wednesday's vote? How many Republicans voted to at least move the infrastructure bill to the floor to start talking about?
No, I think there is an understanding in the Senate and in the country that we have a crumbling infrastructure. Our roads and bridges and water systems are in disrepair. We have talked about rebuilding that infrastructure for a long time, and I think the Senate understands the importance of doing that. And by the way, when we do that, we begin the process of creating a lot of good-paying jobs, which is also needed.
But it still has a long way to go. But I mean, the vote Wednesday, does prove. President Biden said that he could get the two parties working together. Do you see common ground?
Well, I see common ground on that issue, Eric, but on the bill that I am working on, which deals with some of the long-term structural problems facing working families, unfortunately, I don't see any bipartisan support. I think we're going to have to do it alone within the Democratic caucus because unfortunately, my Republican colleagues are not interested in asking the wealthiest people in this country who are doing phenomenally well, the large profitable corporations, to start paying their fair share of taxes. I think we have to do that. We can raise substantial sums of money in order to invest in the needs of working families.
And that's going to be a separate bill from the one that will be passed bipartisan. As you said, you have no bipartisan support. The price tag on the bill you're proposing, it's about half of what you originally proposed, is around $3.5 trillion right now. You haven't even got support from everybody in your own party, do you?
No, that's not true. We have, there will be a vote on early next week, I believe. We will have 50 votes plus the vice president voting to go forward. What we have to do then, which is part of the process, I got, 50 members of the Senate. Everyone has a different perspective, different needs, and we're going to have to bring those together. But we have the votes to go forward.
Okay, so moving forward, is there room for negotiation when you've got a couple of the holdouts like Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin who want the bill, they just don't want the price tag?
Well, there's going to be a lot of discussion about a lot of issues, but at the end of the day, I think what people in this country want, what members of the Democratic caucus want, is that at a time when the wealthiest people are doing phenomenally well, that maybe, just maybe, government starts representing the needs of the working class and the middle class. And we do that in a lot of ways. This, in my view, is one of the most comprehensive pieces of legislation since FDR in the 1930s and the Great Depression. What that does is we're going to cut childhood poverty in half. Many people in Louisiana and around the country have already started receiving those $300 child tax credit every single month. That's going to go a long way to help working families raise the kids. If you are older on Medicare, we intend to expand Medicare to cover dental care, hearing aids, eyeglasses, something that's long overdue. We're going to end the absurdity of the United States being the only major country on earth not to provide paid family and medical leave. We're going to invest very heavily in housing so that people don't have to pay 50% of their limited incomes on housing. We're going to make community colleges tuition free. So by and large, what we're trying to do here is address the long neglected needs of working class families, create millions of good paying jobs, and tell the people on top, you know what, government's got to work for all, not just the few.
Let me know your thoughts on what Bernie Sanders said down in the comments below. By the way, Bernie Sanders is one of the 28 lawmakers who want to make stimulus checks recurring in Biden's infrastructure plan. So there were several letters written from senators, from House representatives, Congress members in general, calling for a fourth stimulus check, and not just a fourth stimulus check, but recurring stimulus check. So when we talk about a fourth stimulus check, it looks like the Biden administration seems open to a lockdown, which could make a fourth stimulus check necessary. So the reason why there was stimulus checks to begin with is because of the lockdowns, the quarantines, everything was shut down. Therefore, people could not work, people couldn't live their normal lives, and they needed a little bit of stimulus aid just to help get by with utilities, rent, mortgage, food for the family, help fix their car, or whatever they wanted to use the money for, but it was mainly a survival check. Same thing could be necessary for now, because if we look at the trend going on around the world, we could see that Vietnam is to extend lockdown through southern region as COVID cases soar. Also, we can look here, millions under strict lockdown in China after COVID outbreak. Then there's also COVID in Sydney, military deployed to help enforce lockdown. Then there's also in Florida, in the States, so we have Florida breaks record for new coronavirus cases, surge of infections rips through state. So there's a lot more cases going on. And then this headline right here, which I spoke about the other day, CDC study shows 74% of people infected in Massachusetts COVID outbreak were fully vaccinated. So if we're seeing cases from the CDC, this isn't just a random study or case, but from the CDC, the one who makes all of these health guidelines with masks and vaccines, they're saying that 74% of the people infected were fully vaccinated. So what does that mean for the Delta variant moving forward? If people are fully vaccinated and outbreaks are still happening, people still have to wear masks, I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below. Do you think another lockdown is going to happen? According to Dr. Fauci, which he just said yesterday, I don't think we're going to see lockdowns with the Delta variant surge, but more pain and suffering is likely. Because of what's going on with the Delta variant, we didn't think that mask mandates were going to come back. We thought that as soon as the vaccines were out and people were out and about, no more masks, we were in the clear. But now we have to wear masks again, even if people are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, and indoors masks again. So I don't know. I think a lockdown may be coming. Let me know your thoughts on that. In terms of support for a fourth stimulus check for the $2,000 per month to every American petition, it's currently at 2,732,000 signatures so far. So let me know your thoughts on this. For a fourth stimulus check, what do you think the amount should be? Do you think it's going to be in the reconciliation bill? We still haven't been confirmed whether it's a definite yes or definite no yet, but let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Next, I'm going to answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. Robin Janis asks, why did people get behind or not pay their rent? Good question. So with the evictions happening, the eviction ban happened for a while. I think even before the pandemic, the majority of people, of Americans in general, are living paycheck to paycheck and have less than $1,000 in their savings account. All it took was one tragic event or a pandemic to happen and a job to be lost, or medical bill, or accident, or family tragedy, and someone falls behind, and it's probably really hard to catch up from there. But yeah, everyone has their own situation. I think probably the majority of people are good people. Are there people who are taking advantage of the system? Yes, but I think that's a very select few. Heather Brissett. Hey Heather, hope you and Lucas are doing well. If someone gets child tax credit monthly at the end of the year when someone doesn't normally file, has to file to get the remainder of the $3,000 child support to take it. So yes, if you're getting the child tax credit monthly, let's say you're getting that $250 per month, in order to get you're going to get $1,500 now, $1,500 when you do your taxes. So to get that other half of the child tax credit, you're going to have to file a small tax return. Even if you don't have any income, you just file a small tax return just to get that money. And Zolette C. Shivers says, I took the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 shot. I'm hearing that it's not effective. Should I go and get the Moline shot? To be honest, I'm not a medical professional. You're going to have to talk to a doctor about that. But it looks like not just Johnson & Johnson, but a lot of studies have shown that all the vaccines now are not 100% effective against the Delta variant. That is all the stimulus news I have for you today. To hopefully brighten your day a bit, here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, it's Bella tip of the day. I want to tell you the one thing that you should do. Do the things that scare you the most, because after you do that, you become a better person. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support. Hopefully you have a great rest of your Monday. The girls are back in camp and loving it. They're going to playgrounds today and stuff. The camp is taking them to playgrounds, so they're just playing and coming home really tired and cranky. So we just shower them up, feed them, and put them to sleep. Anyways, if you want to check out any of my other stimulus updates, you could click this link down here, or check out my other channels on motivation or how to make money. You could click up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.